In the beginning, there was nothing but endless blue skies above the land below. Then, something incredible happened. Warm water vapor began to rise up into the sky. It expanded and cooled until tiny water droplets condensed onto microscopic particles suspended in the air, forming a towering vertical cloud. And with that, the cumulonimbus was born. Join me as we follow the cumulonimbus from its birth until its death. In this adventure, we'll see it through the eyes of the people who live beneath it, experiencing its fury firsthand and witnessing its awesome destructive power. The cumulonimbus rose majestically above the small town of Willow Creek, growing larger by the minute. Its top reached high into the troposphere, almost into the stratosphere, where it was so cold that the water vapor froze into ice crystals. The cumulonimbus has been rising for hours and is now truly a giant among clouds. Suddenly, a strong wind sear appears, and the cumulonimbus begins to tilt over, revealing the underside of the cloud. Here, dark, flat layers of rain are falling, obscuring the view of the cloud base, which is now moving right towards Willow Creek. The people of Willow Creek look up at the approaching cloud mass with a mixture of fear and awe. They've heard stories of the cumulonimbus, the king of all clouds, bringing with it the most violent storms that nature can produce. The cumulonimbus continues to grow, soon reaching 10 kilometers into the sky. Now the people of Willow Creek can do nothing but wait and hope for the best. The first raindrops fall. Then more. Then a downpour. Thunder roars overhead as lightning flashes illuminate the dark underside of the cumulonimbus cloud. The people of Willow Creek huddle in their homes as the storm rages outside. Some peek out of their windows at the raging storm, while others pray that their homes will withstand the onslaught. A family huddles together watching as lightning strikes their town. They can only hope that they will make it through the storm. As the night wears on, the storm outside begins to die down. The rain becomes a drizzle and the thunder a dull roar. When they finally venture outside, the people of Willow Creek find that they have survived the storm. But the cumulonimbus still looms over them, blocking out the sun and casting the town in an eerie darkness. The next morning, the people of Willow Creek emerge from their homes to find that the storm has passed. But the cumulonimbus still looms over them, blocking out the sun and casting the town in an eerie darkness. The streets are littered with debris from the storm, and many homes are damaged. But the people of Willow Creek begin to clean up, surveying the damage and talking about how lucky they were to survive the storm. One resident looks up at the cumulonimbus, now a dark and brooding presence on the horizon. "We may have survived the storm," he says, "but the cumulonimbus is still out there." The cumulonimbus travels across the country, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Crops are destroyed, homes are damaged, and lives are lost. All the while, the cumulonimbus grows larger and more powerful, fueled by the warm water vapor below. Finally, it reaches the ocean where it dissipates into a light rain shower. As the cumulonimbus continued its journey across the country, it began to pick up speed. It was now moving so fast that it was impossible to outrun. People could only watch in horror as it approached, knowing that there was no escape. The cumulonimbus was like a freight train, barreling down on its victims, crushing everything in its path. Some tried to hide in their homes, but the cumulonimbus was too powerful. Windows were shattered, roofs were torn off, and walls were blown down. Others tried to outrun the storm, but the cumulonimbus was too fast. Cars were overturned, trees were uprooted, and mobile homes were tossed aside like toys. There was no escape from the wrath of the cumulonimbus. As the storm continued to pick up speed, the winds became stronger and stronger. Soon they were so strong that they began to suck everything up into the sky, people, animals, and even houses. It was as if the cumulonimbus was a giant vacuum cleaner, devouring everything in its path. But the cumulonimbus wasn't just a mindless monster. It was intelligent, almost sentient. It seemed to know exactly what it was doing, where it wanted to go, and who it wanted to hurt. It was as if the cumulonimbus had a personal vendetta against humanity. And then, suddenly, just as quickly as it had started, the storm was over. The cumulonimbus had moved on, leaving behind a scene of total devastation. The town was in ruins, the crops were destroyed, and the people were scattered and injured. But the cumulonimbus didn't care. It had moved on to its next target, leaving behind a trail of death and destruction. 4 days, the cumulonimbus continued its rampage, destroying everything in its path. But eventually it began to weaken. The warm water vapor that had fueled its growth began to run out, and the cumulonimbus began to shrink. Still, it was a formidable opponent, and those who tried to stop it were quickly defeated. The cumulonimbus was like a wounded animal, lashing out blindly as it felt itself grow weaker. But the end was near. As the last of the warm water vapor was used up, the cumulonimbus began to dissipate. It became less dense, less organized, and less powerful. Still, the cumulonimbus was a force to be reckoned with. Even as it weakened, it continued to produce powerful thunderstorms, strong winds, and heavy rain. But finally, after days of rampaging across the country, the cumulonimbus was gone. All that was left was a trail of destruction and the memories of those who had been lost. The people emerged from their hiding places to survey the damage. Homes were destroyed, crops were ruined, and lives were lost. But they had survived. The cumulonimbus was finally gone. They began to rebuild their lives, picking up the pieces and trying to move on. But the scars of the storm would remain. The people would never forget the wrath of the cumulonimbus, and they would always be prepared for its return. For the cumulonimbus may be gone, but it will come back. The cycle of warm water vapor rising and cooling will continue. New clouds will form and new storms will brew. And one day the cumulonimbus will return to unleash its fury once again. And that's the end of our story. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button so that we can keep making them. Thanks for watching.